Hello, and welcome to this edition of Coffee Break. Cheers, where in 15 minutes or less, I will show you how to create a card or other project. And so, in the time that it takes for you to have a coffee break. My name is Sandy McManus, and you may find me at needsaribbon.com. So today, this is the project we will be creating. And this project uses the Moose Punch and the Merry Moose stamp set, which are returning favorites from the holiday 2020 or fall 2020 Stampin' Up catalog. They were in last fall's and they've returned, and I think we all love the moose. Okay, let's get started. So, and again, like my other coffee break videos, the recipe will follow at the end of the video. So I have already pre-cut my project paper. We are using soft suede, some Sahara sand, white, and as you can see, my DSP does not quite match the original. I do not have any more of that. I will list the correct stuff in the recipe, but for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to use this stuff. It still looks nice. It just doesn't quite match as well because the original uses it has soft seafoam and tranquil tide on it, and this is, I believe, garden green and soft seafoam or something, but you get the idea. That's the whole point. And so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do, as I shuffle all my paper around, is stamp our little dotted images, which almost look like moose poop. I'm not sure what they're supposed to represent, or snowflakes, or just some general detail, but stamped in the soft suede, they look like they might be piles of moose poop. Yeah, so I'm going to do soft suede on soft suede, so tone on tone. Put the card aside, and what is my rule? Odds. So we're gonna stamp off all four edges first. So that's 4, 5, 6, and now you're counting in your head. 10. That's not even going to show, but we'll do an 11 in there just in case. So I did 11 or 9, but you get the gist of how to do that. Oops, I am not done with the soft suede. Open up. Okay, close it and then reopen it. So I still need to, I did not write this recipe down. Aww. When I made this, but I believe I stamped that tree in soft suede. So we're going to put aside our little moose poop pile and stamp our tree off to the side here in soft suede. Or you could use the early espresso and just stamp off and then stamp it. Either way kind of gets the same effect. I think I'm done with my suede. Not quite, but that's okay. And next, and for the original card, I used very vanilla. Again, I'm using white this time. Potato, potato. Let's bring in our early espresso ink while that dries. Oh, yes, we should actually, before we put that one aside, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Let's stamp our greeting right on there in early espresso. Just kind of stamp it up off in the corner. We'll go set that aside to dry. Get our inky stamps out of here. So the next thing to stamp is the moose, and I just grabbed some scrap paper and I have super inked my early espresso ink pad. It is, oops. And I want to make sure that mousse is as solid an image as it can be. And I'm going to stamp down, and I'm going to hold for 1, 2, 3, or 4. And make sure that ink really gets pressed solidly in there. And while I have that juicy ink pad out, let's do our liner. This is the card liner because, again, it's a darker card base, and I did not set up my stamps for this, but that's okay. Let's see, what did I use on the original? Happiest of Holidays. My hands are going to get inky, aren't they? Yeah. I will just... Okay, we'll just do this. We'll bring in Mr. Raccoon, and I think we're just going to stamp him in. Originally I did it in soft suede. I think we're just going to do him in an espresso down in the corner of the inside. I'm going to peel off this since I didn't set this up as well as I should have. Ho. And you can tell my stamp set has been very well loved in multiple colors. It still works as long as you keep them clean. That ink won't transfer. It just dyes the photopolymer. We are done stamping. This is a very fast card. We'll let those very inky objects dry. And while we're letting those kind of dry, let's do, and that's not a bow. I love this ribbon. It's very stiff, like it's been starched, and I suspect that it has. So what we're going to do to keep it, you can even see that it's pretty fat, just tying a simple knot. So we're just going to keep it to a simple knot rather than a bow. And play with it till everything's facing forward as you like. Give that a little trim. And again, sometimes you don't always need bows. Sometimes there's multiple ways to lay ribbon. We are done with the scissors and all of that. We're going to get that set up already on a glue dot. Ooh, somebody needs to bring some more glue dots to our filming table. Look at that. I'm just going to set that aside. Yeah, we're getting low there. That's okay. And let's assemble that. Actually, let's punch out the mousse next. So my paper, this is just scrap paper, but it just happens to cut about the width of the punch. And I'm just going to drop that in. I stamped, as you can see, I stamped toward the bottom. That way I have something to grab onto to get that positioned. It's just a little tip. If you're going to use scrap paper, don't make it too short of a scrap, because otherwise you just have nothing to grab onto to position it. And there are tricks for that. You certainly could put a little post-it note on it. Yep, that's dry. There are lots of tricks for how to get those positioned. A pencil eraser on the end of a pencil. And let's put our liner in. Let's put our card layer on. Again, this is a really simple card. This might be a really nice Christmas card. I mean, honestly, change the greeting. This could go for a birthday, male birthday, or favorite hunter, male or female. You know, and just the layout itself. So you take this same layout, a piece of DSP and a piece of cardstock, and forget the mousse. So you add in some Christmas bells or a pumpkin or whatever. It's a nice basic, I think, layout that suits a variety of stamps and events. So I'm going to position that Oops. And I'm laying these flat. Again, I'm going for a more flatter card on this just because the bow and the moose do stick up quite a bit. And we'll pop that moose up on dimensionals. Oops. You could use the mini dimensionals and probably put all kinds down there. But I found with something as simple as this and paper that you really don't need a whole lot of. We'll line them up with the bottom of the tree. And we'll put our little bow accent because everything needs a ribbon. Am I right? I'm right. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, brought in enough extra scrap. So there we have it. Here's our sample, and here's the one that we made, and our lovely little moose punch. And I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Coffee Break. Bye.